Mr. Rahul Mitra. So the budget 2026 has introduced a major focus on orange economy. It was a big talk among content creators and the digital media. I would like to understand the content create. Also, the government has talked about that they will be setting the content creator labs in 50,000 schools and proposing a 5% GST on mass market tickets. As a filmmaker who has championed heart and narratives, do you see the budget push to create more economy as a transformative for the film ecosystem, or does the cinema still, do you think, need a stronger institutional support?
A very good evening, all of you. It's nice to be here this evening. Well, the creative industries or the creative economy, orange economy as everybody is calling it now, is booming in India. We're all aware of that. And I'm glad that this year's budget has taken note, not only taken note, but has recognized the growing importance of animation, visual effects, gaming, comics, extended reality. So this particular sector, the government understands and is aware of the fact that is no longer people just taking up their hobbies. It's a growth lever. And finally, I think it has found place in the economic playbook. And the government realizes that it's a major source for skilled employment and has export potential. And hence, I think it's really welcome, like you said, that creating content labs, across I think 15,000 schools and 500 colleges is a great step. I think it's a visionary step. India is a country with a very large young population, and looking at this sector, what we say the AVGC sector, which is, like I said, the animation, visual effects, gaming and comics. So going by this, by the year 2030, it's projected that 2 million jobs are going to come up. So as giving pace to the intent of catering to this growing demand, I think this step is welcome. India is emerging as a cultural powerhouse, and I have absolutely no doubt of that. The cinema and the creative services were always seen as soft power, and it is emerging, and it has emerged as the biggest soft power of India today. And I think these steps will definitely lead there. However, I was expecting a little more as far as the traditional exhibition is concerned. We're a country of cinema goers. All of us have grown up watching films in theaters. That's what I did when I was growing up in Chandigarh, where my bureaucrat father would take me to watch movies. When I watched Ma and Amar Akbar Anthony, and that's probably I made films like Saibi Gangster and Bullet Raja and Sarkar 3, and because that's all part of my growing up. So COVID, I think, unfortunately, was a big blow to people going to cinemas. What entertained all of us was OTT, which was a great change. But I think what OTT did, we have to understand. We all know, but we just have to understand. When I was growing up, and I'm sure all of us my age or older to me were growing up in small cities, we would go to a small shop, at the kirane ki dukaan, as we used to say, and say, please give me a soap, or please give me oil from the list that our mother used to hand over. We never used to command the brand name because we didn't know. It was the prerogative of the person to hand over. Okay, you need oil, this is. And then came the big mall where a basket was handed. And we had the power of picking up, keeping it in the basket and go, no, we don't like the label, we don't like the feel and look, we keep it back. OTT has done that. It has placed the power with the audience, and which is a welcome change. But it also has, on the hindsight, I think people, the palette has changed, which is good. But now people will go to cinemas only if they feel the need to go there, if it is a large audiovisual delight for them. So government should step in at this point in time. The GST 2.0, which is 5% GST as against the earlier 12% on film tickets below 100 rupees, coming down to 5 is a welcome change, because this is going to help people save money, families save money, who go and watch, who like to go and watch movies, which is still, by the way, the cheapest form of entertainment in India, one of the cheapest forms. But this is only to the tickets below 100. I hope and wish that this is extended so that more and more people go and watch movies, more and more screens. Now we have about 9,000 screens. We ought to have 20,000 screens. We need more screens. And that alone is going to lead to better content, etc. So I have, like I said, I am from a journalist to a corporate communications guy to a filmmaker and now to an actor. I have seen that transition myself, and all of us, I think, need to evolve. And I consider whatever that the government did in order to recognize this fact as a very visionary step.
Sir, you were also a part of the audience earlier today, and during the fireside chat and on bilateral trade, you have been a long regular at the film festival in Hungary for a long time. And given the Hungary's world-class studio infrastructure and India's massive demand for cinema, I would want to understand, do you see a concrete opportunity for India-Hungary co-partnership, co-production treaty as of now?
Well, I've had the opportunity of traveling to Hungary. The filmmaker, a dear friend of mine, Imtiaz Ali, which I'm sure most of you have watched his films. One of my favorites is Chamkila, where I play a Sikh cop, by the way. Anyway, so we went to Hungary, and this was part of the initiative by the Indian Embassy there, as I think the first Indian festival in Hungary. We went. It was a short trip, but I was amazed by the architecture. I was amazed by the beauty, and having traveled across the globe to so many countries, I've filmed, I've traveled, to quite a few countries. And my first trip was an eye-opener, because not only was this country so beautiful, but I think also the fact that you can, from a filming point of view, you can get airports, and you can get railway stations, and you can get heritage buildings, available and shoot for the films. So there is definitely an opportunity, because Indian movies, Indian shows, Indian OTT, and Indian micro dramas, and so on and so forth, everybody's making content now. We need locations, because we can't shoot at fixed studios all the time. And somebody like me has been, being an outdoor guy, I have probably shot all my films at different locations. So Hungary, I think, can definitely emerge as one of the most preferred partners for India for shootings. Now that we also, need some lollipops from Hungary, because we are spoiled for choice, and we are, everywhere because of the power of Indian cinema, and also because of the fact that we need, we get direct flights. I shot a film. I made a film. One of my films was Torbaz. This is a film I did for Netflix on suicide bomber kids in Afghanistan, with my dear friend Sanjay Dutt. And I had to shoot this film in Afghanistan, which obviously I could not. So I had to cheat Afghanistan. So I sent all my teams, a couple of teams. Okay, you research. Somebody saying, sir, Jordan. Somebody saying, sir, Dubai or whatever. And one bright guy came with the idea, Kyrgyzstan. I said, where the hell is Kyrgyzstan? So, we opened up the map and the globe and all, and I said, well, somebody said that there is a flight from New Delhi, direct flight, 4 hours, Manas Air. I said, bingo, got it. And I set the entire film in Kyrgyzstan. I was shooting in minus 30, minus 40 there. That film won me quite a few awards, and a 20 kgs heavier me also played the head of Afghan army, which you can see in the film, with a big mustache. Anyways, but the fact is that there was no incentive. There were no regular suppliers. One of the gentlemen from Bihar who was there, who ran a local restaurant, was serving some great food. So I actually made him into the food supplier. There was one gentleman from somewhere in India who had a couple of cars, and he became suddenly my rental partner. So, but now today, after that, after Torvas was shot there, I'm told, and I'm so happy to learn that, so many, it opened up as a hub, shootings. Same thing I did Bullet Raja in Lucknow in UP, and I was the first filmmaker to get subsidy there. It became a major hub. So that is the power of cinema. I'm going to request my dear friend here, the business and cultural attaché, to think on from a serious point of view of actually taking few of us there, some serious people, and engage with the government there. More importantly, the Indian Embassy definitely, but the government there in terms of maybe a bilateral production treaty and say, what are your incentives? It's just not that subsidy that we're looking for. Subsidies we get everywhere, more than subsidy. Creating that whole ecosystem is what, and I'll be happy to shoot my next film in Hungary.
Now we know where to see, we look forward. Sir, also you are effectively a cultural diplomat, and having served as a brand ambassador of the Czech Republic and the advisor to states like Arunachal Pradesh, strategically speaking, where should India and Hungary involve each other to maximize that soft power that you talked about?
See, like I said earlier, there is no better form of soft diplomacy than cinema. Cinema can help bridge, so many barriers, and trade and tourism and everything follows. Not only follows, but goes hand in hand. So I think, like I said, there is an opportunity for us. Let's try and explore what we can do, and locations is very, very important, So I think we should also create something like a writer's room, a joint writer's room, with some top writers from here will engage with writers from there to see if we can come out with some ideas where the story is, that the location is integral to the story. You see, I just to go back a little, I made a film called Sahibi the Gangster, which was my first film, which started my career. In that, the heroine is very lonely. So I shot at a remote place in Gujarat called Devgarh Baria. And then it's a dilapidated building, a sort of a run-down palace. Now, after watching the movie, you will subconsciously realize that it's because of the palace, you realize the loneliness of the character, and hence the immersive experience increases for the audience. So that's why I say, I was speaking recently at the global tourism. Oh, that's a nice song. Okay, whoever is going to talk now, I'm going to pull them to the stage, so be quiet. Anyway, so I was speaking at the Global Tourism Conclave, and I said that the real hero of my films is the location. Because location is what gives character, gives shade, and enhances the immersive experience. And there's so much that we can do, but I think it all starts from all of us planning, like I said, a bunch of writers, directors, producers, OTT heads, all friends. We could probably go and have a structured delegation and try and explore. And I was lucky to conceptualize, write, and shoot, and also act in India's biggest tourism campaign for Arunachal Pradesh, which I again shot with Sanjay Dutt. 50 years of Arunachal Pradesh, which came about 2 or 3 years back. It was a nice big campaign. which I thought of a very simple concept. A friend is calling a friend asking that I want to go abroad, where do I go? And he says switch on the phone, and he's taking me through. So Sanjay Dutt was taking me in that ad through Arunachal Pradesh, and that did very well and brought the state. So there's simple ideas, but once you transform them, it led to infrastructure and all of that. Like that, maybe we can do a campaign for Hungary in India. You know, there's so many Indian tourists looking for newer locations. And you know, who better to star in that than a lovely gentleman is a good looking guy. So I'm going to cast him.